Welcome to La Colonia del Trabajo. This year, almost all of our homes are built in this one small community. This community's been here for about 11 years, and many of these families moved in here about 10 years ago. And we discovered that it takes just about 10 years for families to earn property rights for their homes. We're just about 16 miles from downtown Tijuana, out here on the outskirts of town, 5 miles from the U.S. border, just over this direction. We've got 13 teams building this year here, 250 people, adults and students. Our adult teams are working together on a large project where they're working on a classroom at a church that'll be used every day of the week for the children of this community. Our 12 student teams are each building a house to serve the needs of families in this community. They'll each have a locking front door. They'll have windows with curtains thanks to some generous people in our church. We will give them a place that they can stay dry and warm and safe for years to come.
On the first day, we mixed together some cement and poured in, and we smooth it out because the foundation really is the most important part of the house. It's what we build on, it's what we depend on. A strong foundation basically helps for a strong house.
So next up is kind of the building of the walls. So we start with the raw 2x4s and we build the frame. Each one has to be cut to a specific size. And then you can kind of see that each was kind of cut, like there's different amounts of space between, so it took a lot of time and effort getting each exact measurement down.
Walls going up
on a Tuesday.
That's how it's done.
After the walls go up, now it's time for the roof.
Okay, we are putting up and squaring our roof and finishing tightening up the baling wire, and another group is making the bird blocks so that we can get our roof up.
I'm up here putting on some bird blocks to keep the birds out of the roof, and yeah, we're getting a lot of help from Senor Aguilar, putting in the door and a lot of other great stuff that he's helping us out with.
First, we put on the plywood, then the tarring paper, and then the roofing paper. After that, we nail it all in and put some tar on it.
So the last step to building your house is doing the stucco. And so first we put a layer of chicken wire all around the house on top of the tar paper, and then that is to hold the stucco on. And so we first do one layer, hopefully one day, which will dry, and then the next day we do the final layer of the stucco.
You know, one of the most rewarding parts of this trip is the dedication of the house to the family. When we come together with the family, we pray for the family, we pray for the community, and this leaves everlasting memories, both with the building team and the family that we've built this house for.
At Nights in Camp, we've been opening up Luke chapter 6 and looking at the parable of the wise and the foolish builder. And we've been talking about how Jesus has a desire to rebuild us in His image, into people who know Him and love Him, and who see the world the way that He does. And our hope is that during the day, we're actually joining in a part of that work of rebuilding this world into the kind of place He wants it to be by helping provide secure housing for families that don't necessarily have it yet. And at the same time, also trying to see how He can remake us to look more like Him in our hearts, and so that we can go home and live day by day as a part of His vision to rebuild this world.
I think that this week is important because we are not only coming down here and building a house for a family who needs it, but we are expanding and building upon the house of God. We are portraying our faith in a way that can show others the love that God has for them.
There's such an intermingling between different grades, different schools, all that sort of thing. You have freshmen from Campo and seniors from Acalanes, which normally the two don't mix at all. But when you put them in a beautiful environment like this and everyone's working together under God and to create a house for a family, everyone just kind of comes together. It meshes perfectly.
You're just like out here building a house with lots of people from your school and from other schools. So, I mean, you get to know people pretty well because by the end of the day, everyone's exhausted and kind of delirious.
You really build your relationships with the kids around you and see the impact of building the house and what a real difference it makes in their lives.
This year's really fun because 5 teams are really close together. within talking distance, so we get to know other teams other than just the people on our team, which makes going back to camp a lot of fun, and we get to know more people.
Yeah, it makes it like a race to see who can get the most done.
Rather than getting all your information from adults, students are actually teaching you everything you need to know. And then in the later years, you find yourself actually teaching younger students as well, and they really prepare you just super well to be a student leader.
I was super excited to go on this trip. I heard so many good things about it, and building it with this team, like, they're also experienced and really helpful. They're all really patient because, like, I have no idea what I'm doing most of the time, and they're really helpful. And I feel like they've actually made it a lot easier than I was expecting it to be.
It's a really empowering thing to see all these women come together and be able to build a house, and the fact that you can come out here and swing a hammer just as hard as a boy can, maybe harder. It creates empowerment.
This week in Mexico, we've seen a lot of lame hammering, especially from the boys. They hold the hammer like this. This is the right way to hold your hammer.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Frankie!
Woo!
Yeah, that was it.
We're gonna show you around camp. So back here is the guys' tents and the girls' tents. Like, it's all divided up into different, like, lettered neighborhoods.
This is the circus tent where we have a lot of our programs and evening sermons. It's also known as a tabernacle. It's full of music and prayer.
Over here to my right is where we get all of our food served, and all the different teams, like, alternate days on, like, serving food for the other teams. Behind me is the e-board tent. It's a place for people to, like, write encouraging notes to other people, and it's also a place to, like, eat snacks, hang out with, like, different people around camp, and just, like, have a good time.
It's really fun to hang out with friends, and you get to meet so many new people. You can get churros, those are really good. You also get to write notes in the e-board tent, and that's really awesome and encouraging, and I love it.
Thanks for joining us this morning and learning a little bit more about this trip that we do every year. This is our 27th time being down here in Mexico with Amor Ministries. We have a way that anybody can be part of this trip. We would love to have you come with us next year. We have students from all the local schools. We have adults from young to old that are part of this team that participate in what we do. But even if you can't join us, there are ways that you participate, and thank you so much for the ways that you support this trip by being at home. We know many of you have taken prayer cards and are praying for our students. Some of you have offered money and given scholarships so that students and adults that can't afford to join us otherwise would be able to be a part of this team. Thank you so much. Other teams and people at our church have knitted hats and other items that we give to our families here. Other people have made curtains to make it possible for us to have beautiful things inside the homes, bright colors. Thank you so much. We'd encourage you to find other ways that you can join us and be part of what our entire church does here in Mexico.